The Longyou Caves are a fascinating set of artificial grottoids. Located near the village of Xianbaikan in the Longyou County of Kuzhou City, Zhejiang province in eastern China. They represent one of the country's biggest mysteries, as there are no historical records that indicate exactly when, why, and by whom the caves were built. The mystery surrounding the caves has led to them being referred to as the ninth wonder of the ancient world. The Longyou Caves are located in a suburban environment, about 25 kilometers south of the city center of Kuzhou. There are 36 identified caves, the largest of which is called the Mysterious Grotto. This enormous cavity extends over 2,300 meters and contains nearly 50,000 square meters of floor space. The cave walls tower up to 30 meters high. Some of the other caves are almost as large, and altogether there is an estimated 175,000 square meters of floor space across all the caves. The colossal size of the caves indicates an extraordinary amount of manpower must have been employed in their construction. Another striking feature is the conformity of the caves. Their shapes, sizes, and layout is very similar throughout. They were clearly built according to a unified plan, despite their number and scale. The artificial nature of the caves is not in doubt. The symmetrical layout with their straight lines, smooth walls, square pillars, and flat ceilings reflects human design and planning. Geologists have confirmed that the cavities were created by manual excavation, not natural forces. And archaeological evidence shows the caves were dug with rudimentary tools. The key questions are who built them, when and why. These basic questions have confounded experts and created an enduring mystery. History records that the local government ordered an official survey and mapping of the caves in the Tang Dynasty 7th to 10th century AD. Before then, there are no historical references to the caves at all. Their origin and purpose are completely unrecorded. Some theories suggest they may date back over 2,000 years to the Qin to 1206 BC or Han Dynasty's 206 BC 220 AD. Others propose an age around 1,000 years old to the Song 9601 to 79 AD or Yuan Dynasty's 1 to 711368 AD. But these theories are speculative and not based on hard evidence. One piece of proof consistently cited is a series of carvings in one cave depicting the sun, moon, and certain constellations. These carvings are said to align with the known positions of the heavenly bodies during the Yuan dynasty, which ruled from 907-978 AD. If true, it would prove the cave system existed by the 10th century. But many doubt this theory, as the carvings are difficult to accurately date. As for later historical records, they are mysteriously silent on the cave's origins. The absence of any written evidence detailing their construction has compounded the puzzle of when and why they were made. For over 1,000 years or more, the builders left no record or hint of their mammoth undertaking. The lack of documentation has led to many imaginative theories on who could have built the caves. One legend says they were created by the legendary Yu the Great, an engineer and founder of the Xia dynasty, over 4,000 years ago. However, this mythological explanation is dismissed by experts. Another unproven theory is that an ancient tribe called Luoyila inhabited the region and built the caves. More fanciful stories suggest they were built by foreigners or visitors from outer space. But historians tend to agree the cave builders were most likely local residents, possibly displaced soldiers. Huge manpower would have been needed, so it is speculated that they were built by the labor of thousands of workers. But whether they were built at the command of ancient rulers or by ordinary local people is unknown. The technology they used also remains a mystery, given there are no historical records of the techniques employed. Considering their equipment was probably quite primitive, the scale of excavation was an amazing feat of engineering. The purpose of the caves is another puzzle that has captivated researchers for decades. Theories have spanned everything from tombs and storage facilities to stone quarries and underground bases. The uniform planning does seem to point to the caves having an intentional, functional design rather than being arbitrary. Their position offering strategic views over the surrounding countryside has led to suggestions they were for military defense or surveillance. The cave layout gives no hints, either the passages simply lead from one chamber to another, without clear purpose. The absence of any burial objects, artworks, or artifacts further frustrates attempts to specify their function. While their original use continues to be debated, the caves are known to have later served as refuges and stone quarries. During World War II, the Cao family transformed them into factories and warehouses. And in the 1960s, some chambers were used for mushroom farming. While historical evidence is lacking, archaeological studies have uncovered some vital clues about the cave's construction. Their orientation strictly follows the pattern of Song dynasty urban planning. The columns and pillars use stone ratios that align with Song dynasty building standards. And the chisel and spade marks left on the walls point to tools typical of the Song era rather than any earlier period. This archaeological evidence positions the Longyou Caves to around 1,000 years old. Scientific dating techniques have frustratingly been unable to provide more precision. Efforts to date pieces of earth and stone from the caves have produced widely conflicting results, some suggesting the Neolithic period over 5,000 years ago. The inconclusive dating has left their exact age shrouded in uncertainty. But an approximate age around 1,000 years old fits best with the limited archaeological evidence. The problem of how the caves were built still puzzles modern engineers today, given their colossal scale and absence of machinery. Their hand-dug construction is evident from the pick marks clearly visible on the walls. But the exact tools and techniques used is not known for certain. Primitive hand tools like chisels, hammers, and spades are believed to have been applied. The process may have involved hammering holes into the rock, inserting wooden stakes, then saturating them with water to soften the stone before removing the rubble. Another theory suggests they poured hot water onto the rock walls to rapidly cool and crack the surface. Bamboo scaffolding would have been used in the higher spaces with rope baskets to remove rubble. Wooden carts with stone wheels are also depicted in one cave, presumably for debris removal. Despite the rudimentary tools and absence of machines, the excavation accuracy and efficiency was exceptional. The depths, angles, curves, and intersections between passageways demonstrate precise calculation and planning. Surveying and marking techniques were clearly applied, but their methods are not fully understood. The scale of the excavation far exceeds what was achieved at other historic hand-dug sites, such as the ancient underground city at Derinkuyu in Turkey. The Longyou Caves mark an incredible feat of human labor and ingenuity. The unique features of the cave architecture provide more clues. Their arched ceilings mimic the structure of wooden buildings and indicate sophisticated engineering principles. The arch framing and segmented layout improved load dispersion and reduced roof collapse during excavation. The caves lack any decorative motifs or statues, which were common in tombs and temples of the era. Ventilation shafts incorporated in the design showed an understanding of air circulation. Drain holes and conduits cut into the floor provided water drainage. These functional elements illustrate how the caves were engineered for practical utility rather than for decorative beauty or ritual purposes. The orderly layouts also allowed efficient allocation of storage or living space and provided easy access between chambers. The uniformity of the design shows evidence of thoughtful planning and standardized measurement. But many specifics of the methods, plans, and tools remain unknown. Replicating such a mammoth excavation feat today with similar resources remains challenging. Although the caves have been partially mapped, their full extent has still not been entirely identified. Some passages lead to tiny crevices near the hilltop, indicating potential for undiscovered extensions of the network. The total depth of the caves is also uncertain. Some may extend hundreds of meters below the current floor level. Their full capacity is likewise unknown, with estimates ranging up to 1 kilometer of tunnels and 2 million cubic meters of internal space. Further exploration using modern scanning technology may reveal new clues about the staggering scale of these ancient caves. But establishing the true breadth of the system remains difficult. After centuries of neglect, modifications and blockages have obscured the original form. Despite the mapping of over 30 caves so far, only a small number are open to public visitors today. This includes the impressive Mysterious Grotto, with its cavernous halls studded with towering columns. Its atmospheric chambers and lake make this cave the most popular with tourists. The interconnected crystal grotto containing translucent formations is another highlight. But most of the caves remain closed, either for preservation or safety issues. Caves 1 to 10 have electrical lighting and walkways to facilitate visitor access. Commercial boat tours run through the scenic, mysterious grotto. But cave tourism is still modest compared with China's other scenic karst cave sites like Guilin. Strict visitor quotas help protect the ancient caves currently open for public viewing. Concerted preservation efforts only began in the late 20th century. For most of their history, the caves had been left in disrepair. In AD 921, records note a stone dam was built in the caves to create a reservoir. Through the centuries they suffered from neglect, flooding, graffiti, and litter from sporadic local use. In the 1960s, the caverns briefly hosted a small-scale industry for cultivating mushrooms. In the 1980s, some chambers were used as livestock pens, which caused substantial damage. The Long first organized cleaning and restoration program began in 1992 with support from UNESCO. Despite the recent conservation work, deteriorating air quality and water damage continue to pose risks. Algae now covers large areas, while calcite formations are turning gray from air pollution. Graffiti still exists in parts, along with litter and unexploded ordnance from past conflicts. Protecting these ancient monuments from modern human impacts remains an ongoing challenge. For centuries they sat abandoned, but now they face new threats from commercial tourism and industrial pollution. The greatest threat is perhaps from erosion and structural instability. The effects of weathering weaken the exposed sandstone rock in which the caves were dug. Seeping rainwater has dissolved passageway ceilings with evidence of fractures and collapse events. Changes in the water table over millennia have contributed to subsurface shifting and subsidence. Earthquakes in the seismically active region are an ever-present hazard too, causing new damage. In 2016, fallen boulders now litter some tunnels and chambers. Urgent stabilization work is needed to prevent further collapses and blockages which might damage delicate formations. Long neglected after their original abandonment, preserving these ancient caves for the future has now become critical. The Longyou Caves represent one of China's most perplexing ancient mysteries. The anonymous origins and perplexing logistics of their phenomenal excavation has fascinated researchers and writers worldwide. The enormity of the feat, accomplished manually by ancient workers, fuels theorizing on how and why they did it. Their empty halls and silent tunnels seem to hint of extraordinary forgotten events and hidden purposes. Were they built for defense, commerce, survival, or ritual? Did they serve royalty or refugees? Why were they created in this location and then abandoned so abruptly that all memory of them disappeared? These tantalizing questions drive ongoing study and speculation. The caves remain an astounding testament to the ambition, ingenuity, and perseverance of their enigmatic creators. Their full secrets may never be revealed, but their grandeur will continue to draw intrigue from archaeologists, tourists, and historians for generations to come. These remarkable caverns represent a lost wonder of the ancient world, still inspiring awe today.